This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
And there it is. Hey, everybody, it is the After Party Live. We made it to Friday. Woo! We were supposed to have Glenn, who put the drone up today, was going to show us some shots from the Brisbane River, but there was some mechanical issues and he was unable to do it. So he's okay, but he's got to make some repairs and live to fly another day. Hope everything's going okay there in Australia. You know where things are going really well? Here on the After Party Live and the Audio Caster of the Year Award. This is kind of exciting. Look what you guys have done. Really, Teacher Lori, Zero Sum, everybody who has voted, Mindy, Sue-Ann, everyone who's clicked. I think, given the number of votes, I think all of you must have at least voted once or more, because look what you have done. The After Party Live is now in third place at 1,400. Wait, 14,000. See, the number is so big and astonishing that I want to minimize it. 14,727 votes. We're in third place, 17% of the vote. The second place, Gary Mora from KYA, has got more than 22,000 votes. The voting continues until July 1st. And it's one of these things where you can vote as often as you want, as many times a day as you want, all the way up through July 1st. And it's really easy voting as well. So if you are so inclined to vote, I sure would love to have your vote. You can vote a couple times if you want to, and I'll put the link in the chat, as I like to do every day. And this is getting kind of exciting, I'll tell you. I just really appreciate all the support, and it's fun to see all the votes pop up as well. Can you believe that? Almost 15,000 votes. You guys are amazing. Just really, really cool. So that is the Audio Caster of the Year. Again, thanks to Clark Reed for the nomination, and the After Party Live is doing pretty well, I have to say. Something else we love to do on Fridays. Oh, before we get to our wonderful Tim Sika, I do want to tell you that it is the exciting day. It is Elise Inzario's birthday today. And so because of that, she gets the Jake ukulele song. Happy birthday, Elise.
You requested a happy birthday song, so I'm gonna give you one. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Elise. And now it is At the Movies with Tim Sika. So excited to welcome Tim to the show. Hello.
Hello, Kim.
Hello to you. How's the week been for you?
Pretty good. I didn't know Jacob was such a stylist, you know?
You know, he has a little flair, this one.
He does, yeah. He knows how to sell it.
He kind of puts his own spin on things.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I'm impressed. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because he's quite the songwriter. He's not the musician that Julia is, but he's got this uncanny ability to write songs that sound like you've heard them before.
Oh,
it's crazy. And I've racked my brain. Sometimes I think, did you hear that on the radio? Like, where did you come up with it?
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's wild. Like, he's just a really good songwriter. If I had to guess, he'll either be a scientist or a songwriter or both. I don't know.
Both.
Or both.
I think both is kind of like you know, what these kids. I mean, they're so they do so many diversified things, these young kids. So I would not be surprised if he became a scientist and a songwriter.
Well, it'll be exciting to see. That's the thing about these kids is that, you
Yeah,
get to watch what happens with them.
I
Uh,
know. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you've got some movies to share with us. The first one is a documentary that you can find on Netflix. And thank you for that because you're really kind of making everything very accessible for me. I don't even have to leave the house.
Well, yeah. Well, I try. I'm not necessarily telling you that you should just watch all your movies at home because the theatrical experience can be, very exciting.
Mhm.
But anyway, yes, we are talking some Netflix films this week before we talk about the others, the theatrical films. But yeah, this first one is a Netflix documentary. It's directed by Nick Green, and it's a three-part series that documents the 2005 criminal trial of Michael Jackson, where Jackson was accused but by jury acquitted
Mhm.
of sexual molestation of a minor. And yeah, this movie, this controversy surrounding this movie, but some critics, like myself, found it insightful. I had some issues with the whole Martin Bashir insertions, the British journalists who sketchy as hell and
Mhm.
as opportunistic as they come. He interviewed Princess Diana kind of under false pretenses, and he did the same thing with Michael. But that's a whole other thing. But um, the others are criticizing this film for offering no genuinely new details or unique historical insights into this criminal trial, and they're saying it's biased, right? That and yes, when you watch this movie, and it's riveting and compelling from start to finish, but based on the evidence as they present that evidence in this movie, you do go away from it believing that Jackson, even though a jury acquitted him of any wrongdoing, you do go away from this movie tending to think that he was, in fact, probably guilty of
Mhm.
certainly something,
Mhm.
which just goes to show you really how slippery in practice I think the law can be. It depends
Yeah.
on how you present your evidence, what order you present your evidence in, and how you frame that evidence. And in this particular case where Jackson was tried, he appeared to just have a better defense attorney, more skillful, arguably, than did the prosecution, which tended to make one mistake after another, which obviously planted reasonable doubts in the minds of the jurors.
Mhm.
But I suppose we'll never know really what actually happened in the Jackson compound where all these events allegedly occurred. Anyway, I have a lot of opinions about Michael Jackson and his peculiarities and peccadillos, which I'm going to keep to myself here because I don't want to turn this into a tirade. But and it's also a separate issue in a way. But this movie definitely paints a picture. One of the things it does. And I think even those that find this movie controversial will tend to agree. It definitely paints a picture of how our worship of celebrity and wealth tends to sometimes obscure and bias our perceptions of
Mhm.
somebody, or if we love their music, or in the case
Right.
of Michael Jackson, who was like a fabulous musician and songwriter and performer. It tends we sometimes will look the other way, but all I want to say for now about this movie is that it is definitely worth seeing. It's very well made, and watchers can form their own opinions based on what they see.
I'm
So yeah,
struck
it's
by the difference between the content of this movie that you're talking about and the previous Michael Jackson movie that you mentioned, which is the story of his life, which completely leaves this whole thing out.
yeah, that's one of the things that people are saying too. That this movie seems to have been made to balance out the fact that the commercial, the big widescreen commercial movie about his life, they left that out completely. And so, they're saying that it's opportunistic and stuff, but I just think it balances things out. I mean, there's different ways of looking at all this stuff, and
Mhm.
yeah, I enjoyed the Michael Jackson, the Michael movie for what it was, but yeah, it didn't go into any of this. If anything, it just ended on, Michael the King, the King of Pop, Michael the the star, and you do go away with all his songs in your head. They're like earworms. So, yeah,
It's such a bummer for me. I mean, I think it's
yeah,
well, it's a bummer for the victims and the alleged victims. I guess you still have to stay in the case because he was acquitted.
yeah. Hmm.
But what an amazing talent. I mean, from dancing to
Yeah,
singing to songwriting to
I know.
performing,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was magic on stage, and
totally.
magic, his music is magic. And then to have him turn out to be this kind of icky guy, allegedly. I mean, it's one of those things
Yeah,
where can you ignore all that and still enjoy the music? Can art over
yeah,
real life
right,
kind of
right.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the eternal like argument. Do just because
yeah,
the artist may or may not have been a terrible person, should do we
right.
cancel the art? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer. It's up for
And
people to figure that out for
and
themselves.
then
Yeah,
then it's like, okay, well, how good is the art? Like, and does it even matter how good the art is? Like, if the art
yeah,
is lackluster, it's easy to just wad it all up in a ball and throw the
right.
whole thing away. But
Yeah,
if the
yeah, yeah,
art is exemplary and amazing, kind of like Michael Jackson, right?
yeah, yeah.
Then it becomes a little more difficult to discount it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he had a transcendent talent. It was almost like supernatural the way he would.
Mhm.
One of the things in the movie they talk about this. They're showing some of this Martin Bashir documentary. The prosecution is evidence, and they said they knew they were in trouble when they were showing parts of this movie, and the jury started bopping their heads to the songs and the music.
Wow.
That's how powerful his
Right.
talent was. I mean, he was just incredible. Yeah, there's no question about that. But this movie re-examines the trial, and it's fascinating and
Mhm.
thought-provoking, and it's riveting. It's 3 parts, but they fly by, and you kind of wish that there was going to be more, because it ends on a really provocative note,
Mhm.
which I'm not going to reveal here.
All right, our next movie is called I Am Frankelda.
Yes, it's another
Okay.
Netflix film. It's from Mexico, and it's an animated movie. It's in Spanish with English subtitles. I'm sure there may be coming, or maybe somewhere, an English dubbed version of this. But this is a vivid, gorgeously animated, all in stop motion, story about this young girl who's an aspiring horror writer and author. Think Stephen King, only
Sure.
this is a young girl, and her struggles to fulfill her dreams of making this a reality after being when I say approached by a prince who needs her help to save his kingdom. That's the kind of what it's about. And rather than say too much more about the plot, there's of course what it's about and what it's about. Suffice it to say that this may be the best. Well, hard to say. Certainly, this is the most striking animated film of the year. There's no question.
Oh.
The animation is stunning. The colors are so vivid and so alive. It's all stop motion, so that it has that kind of look of, like The Nightmare Before Christmas,
Mhm.
or the Ray Harryhausen movies like Jason and the Argonauts. But what makes this movie so fun to watch, to look at, is that it's so colorful. It's stop motion animation, but it looks like they painted this movie with acrylic paints or oil paints. It just boasts this look of art. Yeah, so it's breathtaking to just look
Oh.
at. And anyway, and the script too is beyond rich. The script delves into the unconscious, the subconscious mind, realms of human consciousness, spirituality, the psychic realm. It's about the netherworld and what might be beyond this world. And it's about the nature of truth and creativity and the power of storytelling. That's a real strong thing going on here. Ideas, the concept of ideas are anthropomorphized. That's
Mhm.
right. Yeah, I can never say that word. It's highly imaginative, and it's thematically epic, this movie. There's a lot kicking around in the story, but never do any of the film's themes overwhelm or usurp what is ultimately just a rattling good tale. One of the best, most ambitious scripts for an animated film I've ever seen. I read somewhere where this was originally planned as a half-hour special for HBO Max, but the script kind of ballooned in scope into a 2-hour film. Anyway, this is a rich, excellent, beautifully gorgeous movie, and kudos for Netflix for picking this up and making it available to their subscribers. There was no theatrical release of this. It's essentially a foreign language movie, but I'm glad that Netflix picked it up, because I probably would never have seen it otherwise.
Well, right after this show is over, I'm going to wander out to my family room where Jacob is already sitting on the couch watching TV, and I'm going to turn this on. And there's
see what you think.
two reasons, because number one, you love it. And number two, I'm looking for kids programming in French and Spanish, because one of the things Jacob has been doing is Duolingo in those two languges.
Oh, well, so, then you got perfect movie. Perfect. See?
Absolutely.
See, we aim to please on this show.
Yes, Tim Sika strikes again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is Pride Month. And
yes, Pride Month.
Because it is Pride Month, you're going to highlight a couple of movies. One of them is called Girls Like Girls.
Yes. Now, this is a very, very heartfelt, personal, very tender, and ultimately very sweet movie about first love. But it's a bit kind of more than that. It's more about the risks involved when you're young and figuring out who you are in telling another person who for the first time stirs deep feelings within you and how you feel about them. And it's the feature film directorial debut of singer-songwriter Kaylee Kiyoko. It's based on her song of the same name, and then her book, her 2023 book of the same name. And actually, the novel was an adaptation of the 2015 single, which was also a popular music video. I didn't know about any of this until I did some research on the film, but not a whole lot of plot here, but definitely a whole lot of authenticity of feeling in Girls Like Girls. There's a purity to the on-screen expressions of emotion and rejection and hurt that goes with a coming of age youth story, which is like, okay, all right, this movie gets props for that. It is a lesbian drama, but the situations it portrays have a universality about them. In other words, anybody, regardless of their sexuality, seeing this movie will be able, I think, to relate. I certainly did, and I'm not a lesbian, to what the lead characters are going through.
Right.
As we've all experienced the terror and the heartache and hopefully the joy of another person who stirs deep wells of emotion within us. And hopefully maybe they share those same feelings. Who knows? But in so doing, I think one of the things this film does very effectively is that it takes viewers into the emotional intensity of being a teenager when every feeling seems like a matter of life or death, that it's so amplified, and every discovery feels life-changing. So anyway, the acting is good, quite good. Newcomer Maya DaCosta is extraordinary in the lead. Her performance is so real that she doesn't seem as though she's acting at all. And the story centers on a young woman basically coming to terms with her sexuality, but it's also, generally speaking, as I mentioned, a relatable story about longing and uncertainty and wanting to belong, which are things all of us can relate to. And one thing the film captures beautifully is that it dramatizes that self-discovery isn't always liberating. Like in the moment, it can be frightening and it can be isolating. And while the film acknowledges, pain and confusion, there's also this real sense of joy and possibility about the film, which is what I really liked about it, implying that maybe we're entering a period where LGBTQ plus stories are going to maybe move beyond trauma and embrace this kind of fuller spectrum of life experiences. Many coming of age stories kind of ask who we become. And this film also seems to ask what happens when we finally allow ourselves to be seen, if that makes any sense. It's a heartfelt, tender, and it's a touching exploration of identity, first love, and the courage it takes to embrace who you are. And it's offering a coming of age story that I think speaks both to LGBTQ plus experiences and to the universal challenges of just growing up. It screened last night at the Frameline 50 Film Festival in San Francisco, but it opens in theaters today, and I recommend it. It's very, very good.
I'm struck by what you said about the risk you take that first time you tell someone that
So
you
scary.
are
Yeah.
interested or that you have feelings for them, and
Yeah.
how, this might be a movie about girls and liking girls, but how that really kind of reaches across to anybody for the first time.
It
And
really
kind of
does.
more,
Yeah.
and it's one of these things where you have a quote gay movie, but it's really applicable to everyone. And I hope that movies like this show that, really we're not so different.
Yeah, yeah. And the next one we're going to talk about is also kind of doing a very similar thing. It's called Leviticus. Should I kind of talk
Yeah,
about that one?
yeah.
Yeah,
Go
it's
for it.
called Leviticus,
Mhm.
and this is a very interesting movie. It's from Australia. It's a horror movie with a twist, a queer twist. In many similar ways, a horror movie. Following in the footsteps of Obsession and Backrooms, these horror movies, low budget horror movies that are just like blowing up at the box office. But with the recent boon horror movies are experiencing, it's going to be really interesting to see how this one fares at the box office, because it's about two teenage boys who become tormented by this violent supernatural entity that's summoned by their religious community, and that takes the form of the person that they desire most, which is each other. Now, that's
Freaking
not
me out. This whole
yeah,
thing is freaking me out right now.
yeah, that's not only a very compelling premise, it's a very compelling idea for a horror movie. The
Mhm.
horror being this quote unquote forbidden love, or this quote unquote forbidden desire. And I'm unsure how this is going to fare with general audiences, because it's very gay centered. Gay audiences no doubt will relate to the goings on, because homosexuality is used here as a metaphor for what is the real horror. The horror being, at least this is the way I read it, the inability to accept your true nature, the fear of being quote unquote the other. And religion is evoked here very dramatically as being the oppressor of the feelings these two young men have for each other. So you immediately think conversion therapy, like,
Right.
and there's some of that in the movie. And I think Leviticus, Leviticus itself is one of the most debated books of the Bible, the Old Testament, particularly regarding interpretations of homosexuality. It's an example, this movie is an example of how the horror genre, while being and staying true to the tropes of horror, is evolving. It's becoming more expansive. It's becoming more expressive, certainly more personally expressive and more creative. And not only did I like it, as horror movies go, it's moving the needle in a way. It's based on the director's personal experiences, growing up being gay in a small Australian town where religion dominated the town. The director's name is Adrian Chiarella. This is his first feature. And to take one's personal experiences and then weave them into a very kind of careworn genre like the horror film, where metaphor serves as the real horror. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that that's kind of a genius thing, but in terms of filmmaking and bringing freshness and a new perspective to and a new take on the horror genre, it's significant. I'll say that much. And this movie is scary. It's genuinely terrifying. Gay audiences, I suspect, will especially take to it, obviously. But I also think, again, like girls, it's like girls. All the requisite elements are here for general audiences and fans of horror movies. I think just going to it as a horror movie, I think fans of the genre will be, they'll get what they came for. but this may be a crossover hit, and in a way, this movie, in context of horror films in general, will, I mean, possibly give horror fans, in addition to being frightened, something to think about
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what it is that's the real, I don't know how to say this, the real horror operating in a horror film. In some ways, Leviticus goes deeper, I think, than horror films in general, to kind of reveal something psychological about what really terrifies us, which is fear, fear of today, fear of tomorrow, fear of our neighbors, but mostly fear of ourselves.
Isn't
So
that so
yeah,
sad? Isn't that so sad that being gay or your whatever your innermost desire
yeah,
is
yeah,
so horrific?
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah, 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 yeah.
what does
Well, the
that
more I
say
think
about
about it,
us?
yeah, exactly. The more
Yeah.
I think about it, the more I'm impressed with this movie.
Mhm.
I think it really moves the needle, and I hope it's a crossover hit. It's certainly got its gross moments
Oh,
where, I mean, it's got the violence, it's got the horror, but it's very well done. It's very original. And again, it has all those tropes that make a horror movie a horror movie. It's a,
mhm.
I want to say it's artistic, but that might turn some people off, because it really, it's not artistic in the sense of like high-minded, but it's a very scary movie.
Mm.
Let's leave it at that. Really, really good. The more I think of it, the more I'm listening to myself talk to you, I'm going, yeah, it's better than I actually thought when I originally saw it. And it's
Excellent.
in theaters. It's playing in theaters. So
So your classic movie wreck of the week. This movie really affected me when I was a kid, and I have to tell you,
yeah.
because my parents went through a divorce, and then here you
Oh,
have this custody battle, this divorce
yeah.
story. It's Kramer versus Kramer, your classic movie wreck of the week from the '80s, right?
Well, it's the Best Picture winner of 1979. So
Ah,
close
okay,
enough.
right.
1980. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's Robert Benton's, the writer director at Kramer versus Kramer. It's a legal drama about child custody,
Yeah.
based on a novel, starring Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep and Justin Henry as the boy and Jane Alexander as the neighbor. It's about one couple's divorce and how that divorce affects their only child, who they wind up suing each other for custody, right? Yeah, and this is as satisfying a movie as they come. Dustin Hoffman won a Best Actor Oscar for his role here as Ted Kramer, who's being sued for divorce by his wife, played by Meryl Streep, who also won her first Oscar in the Supporting Actress category. They are both just note perfect in this movie. They both delivered their dialogue, I mean, like nobody else. Hoffman, in particular, he delivers what is essentially like this masterfully controlled performance. He's at times even volcanic in his quieter moments. It's a performance really to be studied, and how to effectively on screen deliver one's dialogue in such masterfully measured levels of volume. But anyway, hugely entertaining drama, very moving, perfectly directed. It's expertly edited, and it's a story really about the meaning of parenting. What laws it, what is Dustin Hoffman, Ted Kramer at one point asks the judge in the trial, what law is it that says a woman is a better parent simply by virtue of her sex? So, because parenting is really about constancy and nurturing and love, really. And
Mhm.
anyway, so yeah, I watched this movie again the other night with a friend who had never seen it,
Oh,
and yeah, like all classics, it just holds up. I mean, at the end, when, well, I don't know. I better not say this because there's probably people that haven't seen this movie. Anyway, it packs an emotional wallop. It's just satisfying from beginning to end. And I loved it. I love this movie. I've seen it many times, and it's streaming on Prime for anybody that wants to check it out that's never seen
this movie just yanks my heart out of my
it.
chest.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Oh, I
it's
know.
so
Yeah.
hard, and I
Yeah.
think you really get the feeling when you watch this movie about how hard the custody thing and the
Oh,
divorce is
yeah.
and the fighting is on kids,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, the real tragedy is what it does to the child. Yeah, and to the
Mhm.
children. Yeah, I mean, they don't want to see their parent. No. Oh, yeah. All that's covered in this movie. Yeah, it's yeah, it's emotional for sure, and it
I
was just as emotional when I watched it the other night as it was when I first saw it.
uh, I was reading. I don't know if this is true. Okay, maybe you have the inside track on this,
I
but
don't know.
I was reading the story about Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman in this movie, and there's a scene, I guess, where he slaps her, and
Yeah,
she
and
said she really did. She said he really hit me.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think, Hoffman is a method actor, and I
Mhm.
don't think he could have gotten away with some of the stuff she claims too that the first scene that they had before they actually said, action roll cameras, that he grabbed her breast.
Oh wow.
So there's a lot of, we don't, yeah, I don't know really what happened, but she didn't enjoy working with him. He also did a thing. Remember that scene where they meet after, she leaves little boy because she just can't hack it anymore. But
Mhm.
about 18 months later comes back and meets with Hoffman, and they're in a restaurant, they're at a table. You remember that scene?
Yep.
And she says, I realize I love my little boy and I want him. And he says, well, you can't have him. And he gets so mad that he hits the glass that would have the wine, and it goes against the wall. You remember that scene, that moment where he's so mad, he just hits he shoves the wine glass, and it smashes against the wall. Well, that wasn't planned. That wasn't in the
Oh wow.
script. That wasn't it. But I mean, it made the scene, and to Streep's undying credit, she just went with it, and it made
Mhm.
for one of the. And see that Hoffman has this reputation of being kind of irritating to work with, but people kind of put up with it, I think, because of the results. He gets results, and that scene is one of the best scenes in the movie, and it was not scripted. He did it. He improvised in the moment.
I wonder if the reason we don't see a lot of Dustin Hoffman movies anymore is because he has that reputation of being that way. But the movies, you're right, the movies he was in are, at least from the 80s and 90s,
Oh
amazing.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, partly we don't see him so much anymore. He was in that movie Tuner, which we talked about.
Mhm.
But one of the reasons we don't is because he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
He's getting up there, and it's harder to find roles. In fact, in Tuner, he's billed as being like in the movie, but it's really just a glorified cameo. But no, the perform his movie. I mean, Rain Man. I mean, that's a friggin' genius performance. Midnight Cowboy, Marathon Man. He is a great actor. There's no question. But whatever. I think he kind of was Me Too'd a little bit. I remember when all that stuff was coming out. Some of this stuff started coming out about his behavior with women. But yeah, I don't know very much about it.
Yeah, here's a comment from Yvonne. She says, "Saw it when I was a teenager. My parents were divorced
Yeah.
just a couple years
Oh.
earlier. It was devastating. Can't
Mm.
remember who I saw it with, either my mom or dad probably, so a little bit awkward."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Hoffman, when he was making this movie, was actually going through a divorce, which I think makes the performance, as good as it is too. But
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, it's a hard movie.
Rev says, "My parents took me with them to the theater to watch this movie. Not a movie for a 5-year-old," he said. "It was my first or second movie."
Oh no!
You
Oh
know
no!
what? It's so crazy because back then,
Yeah,
I don't think parents thought as much about content and what is okay for kids and what isn't back then,
yeah, yeah.
right? As we do now. Now, like, I don't know about everyone else, but I'm consulting Common Sense Media before I hit play, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. No,
yeah.
more and more people are. But the one
Mhm.
thing though that I liked about this movie, in terms of, it was painful to watch and everything, but you come away with, I mean, divorces are just awful and so messy, and yeah, it's not a picnic for anybody involved, but you really come away from this movie realizing that both his parents, the father and the mother, really loved their child, and they
Mhm.
wanted what was best for him. And yeah, the ending is a bit of a surprise in a way, how it all shakes out, which I'm not going to say,
Yeah.
because anyway, yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Eileen makes the point that the little boy in this movie was really good too.
yeah. Justin Henry. He was, I think, 7 years old or 8 years old, and he was actually nominated for a supporting actor Oscar for his performance. He's so believable. He doesn't seem like he's acting at all, and apparently Hoffman really worked with him and taught him things to do and technique and stuff because he wanted the performance to be as natural as possible. And when you watch those scenes of Hoffman and Justin interacting with each other, it doesn't seem like acting. It just seems like real life, and somebody came and captured it on camera. It's amazing. Brilliant stuff.
What is this young actor? Did he go on to do other things?
Not too much. I think he was in Pretty in Pink, the John Hughes movie. He played the kind of annoying little brother. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think he had much of a career, actually, because we don't hear from him, and I don't. He's not in any of the movies that I'm watching. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, he left us breathless with this performance.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
We'll go back and we'll recap it. The first movie that you offered for us today is called Michael Jackson, The Verdict. It's a 3-part documentary series on Netflix. You said you had some issues with some of the content of this movie. There's criticism. You said that this movie is biased, but you called it a very compelling documentary. You said it's worth seeing, it's well made, and it is on Netflix. It's called Michael Jackson, The Verdict. I am Frank Helda. Boy, you really like this movie. You said it is the most striking animated film of the year. You said the colors are vivid and alive. It's stop motion, but you said it's really fun to look at, to the point where it almost looks painted on the screen. You called it artful and breathtaking with a rich script and a rich imagination. You said this is an excellent, gorgeous movie, and it is on Netflix, and I'll be watching it in just a few short minutes.
Oh, yay.
For Pride Month, you took us to Girls Like Girls, and you said this is a tender and sweet movie. It's based on a song and a book. Not a lot of plot here, you said, but the feelings come across as pure and authentic. You said it takes viewers into this teenage emotional intensity. I don't know if I need to be taken there because I've got it going on in the next room. But you said it's good acting. It opens in theaters today, and you really recommend this. Also, you really liked this movie called Leviticus. This is an Australian, it's called a queer horror film when forbidden desire becomes horror. You said that the inability to accept your true nature, talks about the role of religion in all of this. And you said it's an evolution of the horror genre. It's scary, gross in some parts, like a horror movie would be, but you really liked it. You think this might be a crossover movie, and you said it really impressed you. Leviticus, you say, yeah, go see that one if that's your jam. Also, your classic movie rec of the week is Kramer versus Kramer. I think this one is emotionally hard for me to watch, but acting in this movie, incredible. The story, incredible. And did you say this movie from 1979 is streaming?
Yes, it's streaming on Prime.
Okay.
And Kim, if you're up for a good cry,
God.
Sometimes it's good to just see movies if you're up for a good cry to cry.
There's a feeling when you go from one parent's house to another, when you feel like, and kids of divorced families will know what I'm talking about. When you feel like there's this awkward weirdness when you change homes, okay? So that when you get to the new house and they ask you questions about, even general questions, how's your mom, how's whatever, like you feel like if you have fun or if you settle in, that you're betraying the other parent almost.
Oh God, yeah.
And so it takes like a couple of days to like be normal, and then right about the time you're normal, you're back to the other house, and then you feel like you're betraying that parent. And it's this constant back and forth of this kind of unease and
you described that really, really well. Yeah, I've heard other people talk about that experience of having to like go back and forth, and right when you're getting used to being in, it's the push pull on the child is just emotionally awful.
It is. And I although I remember this movie being so good and the acting being just out of this world good, I feel like almost this movie pulls me back into those feelings.
Yeah.
It's so hard how art can do that to you when
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
makes you think of this time in your life where
Mhm.
like the best thing about, not the best thing, but one of the best things about being a grown up is that I'm out of that phase. Like I'll never
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
relive
Yeah.
that
You
again.
won't have to relive it.
I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what that's
Yeah.
like, and I wish I could say that I didn't, but man, this
Yeah.
movie, and I think that has something to say with the art, how good it is,
Yes.
where it can evoke those old
I,
feelings.
I was just going to say
Yeah.
that. Yeah. That.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a testament to the film and how great it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Love the comments. I'm seeing a lot of people telling their own stories about adoption and divorce
Hmm.
and mixed families and getting remarried and how hard it, love there's here. I'll go
Mm.
back and read all the comments in the chat about your experiences. But yeah, same thing. You know, Teacher Lori says it's why some families do nesting now, supposed to minimize this, not the emotional stuff of catching up with lives. Some families
What
do
is
that.
nest? What is nest? What is
I
nesting? What is
I
that?
I want to say, and Teacher Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's where you the kids have a house and the parents switch back and forth. Is that what it is? Or
Oh, that's
or they somehow still live together, something like that. I don't know, but there are families where, the parents, there's an apartment and the parents will leave for 2 weeks and the kids just stay in the same home. I
oh,
don't know if
that's
that
interesting. Yeah.
it
If
sure
if
makes
that's a
it
thing, that's
easier.
very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that what that might be what she's, yeah. What the heck is next nesting, says Spencer Jaffe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like that. Yeah. Teacher Lori says, yeah, kids stay in the home, parents
Home
move
and
in and out.
yeah. Okay.
The
Yeah.
first time I heard of someone doing that was, those the crazy people. What is that? They have like 1 million kids, something
Uh,
16 kids and counting, or I don't know how many, but it was this couple that got divorced and they had like 8 kids. Oh, eight, yeah, I don't know, eight kids or
that sounds like this Lucille Ball, Henry Fonda movie called Yours, Mine, and Ours. Did you ever see that?
no.
Where
Mm-mm.
they both have like 8 or 9 kids, and they decide to get married. They're widowed, and they both decide to get married, and they have like a menagerie of children.
Oh,
It's a really funny movie. Anyway, it's called Yours, Mine, and Ours. It was 1968, and it's a really funny comedy. If anybody ever wants to check it out.
Mama says, I had no idea. So many of you guys came from divorced parents. I hope you're all okay. Well,
Oh,
there's
that's so nice.
old wounds. There's always,
Yeah.
everybody in the world went through something, right? And
Right. Right.
that was
Right.
probably my thing that I went through. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think with the number of marriages that end in divorce, I think it's, very common to have had that experience. So yeah.
It's interesting, Kim, because my parents divorced too, but they divorced when I was an adult. But
Oh,
even then, and I can say this because both of them have passed.
oh,
But there was this push-pull thing of like, whose side are you on, kind of thing,
right,
which
right.
even as an adult is not a pleasant thing. I mean, and
Mm-mm.
so it wound up that I was with my mother and my brother was with my father, and we sort
Yeah.
of talked it out and said, let's just do this for optics, and
Yep.
blah blah blah, because they're and they were married 33 years before they got a
Wow.
divorce. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing on families.
Yeah,
And
it sure
yeah,
is.
I don't know. So Kramer versus Kramer, that's your classic movie rec of the
My
week.
goodness,
Yeah.
yeah, boy, that resulted in a lot of conversation.
I know. You really kind of you tapped into something there with me.
I
That
know,
was
and I don't think I've ever told anybody publicly about my parents' divorce before.
wow. Well, you think it doesn't affect people when they're grown up, but I think
Yeah, it
that
does.
it
It
really
does.
does, because that's our family and that's what
Yeah.
we know. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that is.
Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, on that happy
On
note,
that happy note.
at the movies with Tim Sika, it is Fridays, 1:30 p.m. Pacific on the After Party Live. Tim, you're so kind to come and do this every week. I love talking with you, and I love the
Oh
movies
boy.
you bring and the stories you tell. And thank you
Well,
so much.
well, thank you, Kim. It's back at you. I feel
Yeah.
the exact same way. I really look forward to this every week. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Tim Sika, everybody. Bye, Tim.
Bye.
Bye. There he goes at the movies with Tim Sika. All right, we don't have a lot of time, so I want to get to the lead story of this week. You know how the World Cup people, all the fans are from different countries have come to America. We saw the Tartan Army, and we saw people from all different countries coming in. Amazing fans. And they're leaving with souvenirs. And one of the things they're leaving with from America is ranch dressing, because I guess nothing says America like a bottle of Hidden Valley Ranch. They're going to grocery stores, they're buying ranch, and they're doing it so much. This is not just like a few. The TSA had to put out a statement warning World Cup travelers that ranch dressing belongs in your checked bags, not in your carry-on, because you can't have that much liquid in your carry-on. Transportation Security Administration responding to a viral trend of World Cup fans discovering ranch dressing. They're giving some instructions on safe transport. The TSA on social media, they're offering advice to fans visiting the United States for the World Cup games. They said, who knew diplomacy could be achieved through addressing the obvious? Ranch is the king of condiments. The world is slowly discovering ranch pairs perfectly with pizza, chicken wings, fries, onion rings, quesadilla, crackers, chips, vegetables, and the list just keeps growing. And they shared this comment. If you're visiting for a very large sporting event and you happen to discover ranch while you're in America, please pack it in your checked bag on the way home. Okay? This, after these videos online, showed fans discovering ranch. Of course, we know ranch is made from mayonnaise, buttermilk, herbs, spices, and people have been featured on videos announcing they're going to bring this back to their home country. And the TSA says, wait a minute, any ranch containers larger than 3.4 ounces need to be checked in. Otherwise, we're going to have to chuck your ranch at security. We don't want to do it. Please help us avoid chugging your ranch outside security. The airlines will check it for you, they said. And even Kraft Foods, who makes the Hidden Valley Ranch, caught wind of all this. They say they're working on a solution. Kraft TSA compliant ranch, a travel friendly way to bring the taste of America home. And they have a Kraft kit now with multiple single-use ranch packets placed into a TSA approved quart-sized clear bag. They said some visitors leave with souvenirs, others leave with America's favorite dressing. I'm telling you, did you ever think that ranch dressing would be a symbol for the United States of America? Like, that's what you go to Hawaii, maybe you bring home some macadamia nuts and some Kona coffee, right? You go to other countries, they have specialties. Ranch dressing, really? That's what we're known for? All right. If you insist, I guess it's a big deal. Welcome to America. I saw this video and I was rather amused by it. And it is about a family in Oklahoma, and they had a problem with their dog carrying in an armadillo into the house. What? Yes, the armadillo into the house. I had thought I had video. Here it is. Okay. So this is Instagram video, and I'll try to make it a little bigger. But this dog carrying in this armadillo resulted in a total freak out of this family. You can hear screaming, all kinds of hollering. I have to turn the volume up so you can hear it. Okay, I'm ready. I'll take away my ranch. And here comes my video. Oops. Here comes my video. Okay. Everyone out of the house. Now there's an armadillo in the house. Oh my God. Yeah. Rico, go get it. Rico, go get it. Oh my God. There's an armadillo in the mean, I don't know why an armadillo is so scary. Do they move fast or something? I mean, I don't know.
Bingo, drop it. No.
Teacher Lori asks, don't armadillos carry leprosy? Okay, I have to pause it there because the screaming is horrible. But like the freak out over this situation. This Oklahoma family's dog carried a live armadillo into their house. And again, as you see here, full on panic. The dog's name is Bingo, ran through the door of their home in Allen, Oklahoma, with a large armadillo in its mouth. There are kids running out of the house and screaming, but the armadillo remains in the house. They say the family was able to coax Bingo into retrieving the armadillo and carrying it back outside, which I think, Bingo, that's amazing that Bingo could do that. The dog eventually dropped the armadillo. It was last seen scurrying into a neighbor's yard. But oh my, the absolute panic. I have this story about a 6-year-old boy. I love these stories. This boy sees something sticking out of the ground. And turns out, when it is removed from the ground, that it is a Viking sword. What? Yes. He finds a Viking sword. He was in a field. Henrik Revsnes Mortfelt was on a school field trip when he found a weapon that's about 1,200 years old. It is a single-edged blade. It will now be preserved at a museum in Oslo. How crazy is that? So he noticed something sticking out of the dirt in a field in southern Norway. The kids had been looking for rocks for an arts and craft project at school. And that's when he sees this piece of metal sticking out of the ground. He said, this part stuck out. This points to the top of it. He said it was rust and dirt, so I thought I would pick it up and see what it was. He's a first grader. He stumbled upon this well-preserved artifact. It's an iron sword about 1,200 years old, a single-edged blade. It's called an enegget is the name of it. And the Cultural Heritage Department there suggests the sword dated to the Merovingian era, which spanned from 476 to 750 CE, or the beginning of the Viking Age, which started around 793. It was probably crafted in Norway between 750 and 850. They say swords of this kind gained traction in Viking society around this time. That's when they evolved from smaller fighting and hunting knives called seaxes. The discoveries like this are really rare. The Viking swords are typically found in this region about once every 2 years. This one, they think, probably belonged to someone of high status within Viking Age society. They think maybe it belonged to a male landowner. I have another picture of this sword. You can see close up how it looked once they brushed it all off and cleaned it up a little bit. Yeah. The thinking is maybe it was a military advisor to a Viking chieftain. No. He spots this sword's hilt. He pulls it from the soil. And then he realized he'd unearthed something very significant. The boy tried unsuccessfully to bend the blade back before he told a teacher about what he had just found. The boy offers 2 explanations for his interest in this mysterious artifact. He said first he wanted to ensure that a tractor wouldn't drive over it and puncture its tire, so that was thoughtful. He also said the object should be preserved in a museum rather than left to decay in a field, although it didn't stop him from joking that he'd been tempted to take it home with him. He was asked, because he's only 6, he was asked by an interviewer how old he thinks it is. And he said, 1,000,000 years old, 1,000 years old, maybe 100 years old. He doesn't know. Very cute. So this Viking sword will be preserved at the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo. Experts are still analyzing it, trying to learn more about its history. The spot where this boy pulled it from the ground is about 130 feet away from previously documented Iron Age burial mounds. So possibly the weapon may have been placed in a grave as a funerary good, and we don't know what else is under there in that spot. Maybe they'll find something else in there. That's a field trip. That type of thing doesn't happen in America. That's a Norwegian field trip for you. Really cool. All right, I'm hearing some crackling in the audio and I don't know why, so I hope you guys can hear me. But we will end it with the lotto of the day. Gotta love a lotto of the day. Here it is. This is a story. I think I have a lotto of the day. I sure thought I had a lotto of the day. I guess we're not gonna end it with the lotto of the day. No, I do. I think I do have a lotto of the day. Okay, so this is a story about lottery numbers that were selected in memory of a cousin. This man from Ohio used a special set of numbers that he has used to play lottery games for years. He said he and his cousin used to play Keno games using the numbers 11, 22, and 28. And then his cousin died. And this man, his name is Brian, he started using those numbers plus 3 and 31 for special birthdays. He bought this ticket June 10th at the VFW post and ended up winning $100,001. He said he dropped his phone and started screaming when he saw that he had won. A coworker said, "What, did you see a mouse?" He said, "No." He's going to use the prize money to pay off bills, to take a vacation to a yet to be determined location. But those lucky cousin numbers get him $100,000. So excellent. All right, that is the show for today. Mark Thompson will be back on Monday. Sarah Kenzier will join. Gary Dietrich will join. It's going to be a really good show. For those of you who tried to watch the Nikki Maduro show last night, we ran a bit of the UFC thing, and it got the show blocked. So last night I clipped out that part, and you should be able to see now the show. So if you want to go back and watch it, I think it's a really, really good show, and I hope you'll check it out. That is the Nikki Maduro show that aired yesterday, the most recent show. If you find the Nikki Maduro show on YouTube, click on the logo and then click on live, you'll see the most recent videos pop up, and you should be able to watch it that way. So hopefully some weekend viewing, and I hope you'll be able to go back and see the show because I really liked that one. I thought it was really good. What? Teacher Lori says we're up to more than 16,000 votes. Is that true? Oh my goodness. You guys are so awesome. Now we have to go back and just double check and see what it looks like for the audio caster of the year. By the way, huge thank you to everyone who has cast votes. It's hard to know when exactly they're going to change it and update the current standings. Oh my gosh. Yes, now we've got 16,191 votes, or 18% of the vote. I'll just show you this on the way out. Here is what it looks like. Thank you for the update, Teacher Lori. Here it is. Look at this. I don't think we're going to be able to catch Danny Wright. We might be able to catch Gary Mora. I don't know. I'm happy to be in third place. I think this is fantastic. 16,191 votes. Look what we can do. This is amazing. I'm so impressed with you guys. Thank you so much for all the votes and for supporting this show in all of the ways that you do. And that includes not only the voting, but the emails that you guys send, the financial support as well. Look at Glenn throwing in another couple Australian dollars today. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy birthday, Elise, Glenn writes. Glenn, you're such a nice person. I'm so glad you're part of this community. Just thank you for being here and for supporting the show and for coming on and sharing your country with us. What a treat it is to know you. Really, really nice. And thank you for the contribution. It's actually a treat for me to know all of you. This community is amazing. Thank you to the most recent PayPal contributors as well. That includes Wes, who pops in with a contribution today. Meredith D, thank you. Karen K, another one from Wes. Dallas Y. Those are the most recent contributions to the After Party Live. Really, really nice. Gordon just voted 5 times. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you to everyone for voting and for all the contributions. You guys are awesome. All right, make it the very best weekend, and I'll see you right back here on YouTube on Monday. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Happy birthday, Elite. Right back at you, Rev. Agreed, Monty. Why, Wes? Yeah, I think they do. Oh, it's hot. I'm glad you're okay, Wes. That's dangerous. As you say. Indeed.